I love Marvel, at least I used to. This is me, 6 years old, hiking a mountain in a Spider-Man outfit. This is me at 6 years old, posing with my Spider-Man Lego. Safe to say this kid loved this shit. Then my mind exploded when my 10-year-old brain saw this. From this point on, I was in. I ate up the movies.
I like another!
Enjoyed the golden years of Marvel animation. Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man. I watched every movie and it only got better.
Say my name!
Even my little 14-year-old brain could not process what an event the Avengers was, and then it leveled up.
With this Infinity Gauntlet,
That villain from the Superhero Squad show?
I, Thanos, will rule the universe!
Yeah.
Some assembly required.
He was at the end of the Avengers movie.
Dread it. Run from it.
My mind knew exactly what was to come, and over the next 7 years we built to that event.
Destiny arrives all the same.
It was sweet, it was cathartic, it was simple setup and payoff.
My only curse is you.
And then, it ended. Fittingly called Endgame, this served as a jumping off point for a lot of people. A lot of people were done. They felt like the story they had invested in had come full circle. They had ended things with the hero they started everything with, Tony Stark. I was 10 when I saw Iron Man, and 21 when Avengers Endgame came out. We had quite literally grown up with these characters, seen our heroes mature.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play.
Our heroes had come full circle, our Trinity had moved on, so we looked to what's next. Who was our new Trinity? The answer is there was none. Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, all contenders to be the flag bearer of Marvel moving forward, but nothing ever calcified, nothing stuck. Sadly, Chadwick passed, forcing Marvel to escalate a legacy movie I'm sure they were saving for a Black Panther 3 or after. Captain Marvel had her head in the clouds, or in the stars more accurately, never being present enough to lead a team.
I'm so sorry, I have to deal with this. You can get my number from Bruce. It was so nice to meet you.
Doctor Strange, the same with dimensional activities and reality-changing events.
And we're gonna fix it.
As for Spider-Man, he's owned by Sony, which makes it difficult making him the centerpiece of your universe, seeing as they don't own him. So, what does that leave us with? A nerfed Hulk? Ant-Man? What I'm trying to get at is the Avengers brand, the Marvel IP, doesn't look as bulletproof as it once did. There's no Trinity, no character, no lynchpin we can specifically follow throughout this multiversal saga. Sure, maybe characters like Deadpool or Loki, but the MCU has branched off. The MCU has gone cosmic with the Eternals, terrestrial with the Skrulls, street with the Kingpin. Now, these branches have its advantages. Some people don't want a cosmic story. They might want something grounded. Having all these avenues to go down means viewers get to pick and choose what they want to follow. On the same side of that coin though, is a glaring negative. The very real issue of oversaturation. Now that word has seemingly lost all meaning. People have been using it as a critique back in Phase 3. We used to get one Marvel movie every year, then it was 2, then 3. Phase 3 clocked in at a respectable 24 hours of content, comparatively to Phase 4 that set a record at, get this, 59 hours in half the time. Now, what's not to love, right? More content means more movies and shows, means more of this world, means more stories and more characters to enjoy, right? Well, kind of. See, what if the shows are not good? What if the plot threads or characters get left hanging? Tiamat has been sticking out of the earth for 3 years at this point, and there hasn't even been a slight mention of him in any other shows or movies. We've gotten so used to introducing characters in post-credit scenes and then doing nothing with them. Eros and Pip, Black Knight, White Vision, Hercules, the list goes on and on. What's my point? Well, whilst it's nice that we know these characters are loosely connected and will most likely converge in Secret Wars, they're totally doing the 90s Avengers. General audiences just don't care. It's too much to keep up with. Let's say you're a fan of the street stuff, you're going to have no idea who Pip and Eros are. Let's say you've only seen the cosmic stuff, well, just the same, you're going to have no idea who Echo or Kate Bishop are. In aggressively expanding this world, general audiences have just checked out. they don't care. Now, I think there's a case to be made for this point, the idea that these movies just require too much homework. Maybe that's what made something like Werewolf by Night so enjoyable. You didn't have to do hours of homework to sit down and enjoy it. But I think the homework isn't an issue. People are willing to invest in the character if they care about them. They're willing to do the homework. I think the real issue, however, is just that, people's investment. People aren't invested because the stories just aren't good. They're not worth investing in. Blame it on half-baked CGI, blame it on shitty writing, or an overuse of misplaced comedy, it doesn't matter. I think the issue is a sum total of it all. A story that can't even take itself seriously. Lazy in its visuals, its story, or its tone. Can we start to shoot these movies with the VFX in mind? Light the sets intentionally to create something more dynamic than the flat looking stuff we're getting now? Can we return to a time when our heroes felt like they were in danger, when they felt vulnerable, have their backs up against the wall and feel like they can be hurt? Can we stop trying to recapture Tony Stark's personality in every character, or recapture the lightning in the bottle that was Guardians 1?
It's not that unique of a thing to say.
Not every movie has to have a sarcastic lead.
I'm sorry, is this a joke to you?
Marvel has a rich tapestry of characters coming from ancient times, ancient lands, so why is it that we feel the need to remove that contrast? Seeing these worlds clash is what creates great friction on screen. Making everyone Tony Stark light does not.
The world's on fire.
It's often said that Marvel movies all end the same way.
Marvel have tried to tap into a formula. A formula for pumping out billion-dollar movies. In doing that, the movies have now become formulaic. Every character and every story, every bit of action all feels the same.
What are we doing?
Now, if everything starts to feel the same, then the audience starts to check out. The audience stops caring. And if the audience stops caring, they stop doing the homework. And if they stop doing the homework, they're not caught up. And if they're not caught up, they just pull out altogether. Okay, so we've explained the problems regarding Marvel, but let's take a crack at actually trying to fix this universe. Now, Marvel can make us care again by showing that they care themselves.
We don't just go out there and throw movies against the wall and hope it's a hit. These all come out of incredible collaboration.
And it's based on passion and commitment to telling good stories.
We have no other agenda but to make great films.
And I think it's evident enough that the new creative talent in Marvel just don't care.
I have to be honest, I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with the comics.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Well, I was relieved for Marvel because I had threatened to burn them to the ground.
Yeah, not a good look.
Not a great plan.
But a movie begins with the foundation of a story to tell, and how we tell that story is super important. If they started to shoot these movies like movies again, and not like SNL skits, we'd care. If they stuck to the drama of a scene, instead of undercutting it with humor, we'd care again. If we actually cared about the characters like we used to, characters that were flawed and didn't feel invincible, we'd care again.
Following some unwritten rule that you have to throw a bunch of flash at the audience in the climax. It distracts from the story, which is that my life fell apart right when I was learning to be both Jen and She-Hulk. Those are my stakes, Kevin.
On the note of there being no Tony Stark, no linchpin character to take us through this multiversal saga, the guy's dead and he should stay dead for his death to matter, but I think Marvel have taken the wrong lessons from Stark, thinking every character should literally be him, taking from his personality and how he presents on screen. Rather, what I think we need to borrow from the character is his place within the MCU. I think we need a character that we can follow, a linchpin, a hero that can consolidate all these branches and bring everything under the fold. A character that is loosely connected to all branches concurrent right now. General audiences are lost right now, so we need to start giving this multiversal saga some direction. Enter Deadpool.
This is your chance.
To be a hero among heroes.
Let's fucking go.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever.
I am Kang!
I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
hold your horses there, Wade. Now, whilst I think Deadpool can be this character if they really need to go there, even aware of the monotony of these movies and can point them out to the audience,
superhero landing!
I feel like audiences need to care about the drama of these movies again, and that can't be done with his irreverent breaking of the fourth wall and lackadaisical attitude pulling audiences out of the drama. They need to stay invested in the conflict, not above it. So, I think you can see where I'm going with this. To me, it makes sense to make Spider-Man the new face of the MCU. Heck, he kind of already is. Naturally, they won't be a part of everything, so a Trinity might be handy to divvy up some of the action. In a way, similar to Iron Man being our POV through the Infinity Saga, with Thor and Cap tying elements together. Now, I know what you're thinking. Risky, considering he's a Sony character, but I haven't chosen Spidey by accident. 1. Holland's a trusted face audiences can get behind. People's faith in Marvel can return through him. 2. Spidey isn't Miss Marvel. He's Spider-Man, a big enough character that we can actually believe him as our POV through this journey. 3. He was Tony's protege within this universe. Kind of makes sense to pass the baton to him. 4. On the note of speaking of passing the baton, Peter could last another 10 years making these movies before eventually passing that baton to Miles. We could actually see Peter grow into a man in real time. Lastly, and the most important one, he has actually the right connective tissue to all the concurrent stories to be able to consolidate them all. The most obvious connection to all of these branches is in the streets. Spidey is famously a street-level hero. He's a known enemy of the Kingpin, who is the face of this tier of threat. Makes sense to conclude that conflict in a Spidey film teaming up with Daredevil. Now, how else can Pete be our linchpin for the multiversal saga? Well, let's take a look at the cosmic. Looking at the other films lined up for the MCU, there's an unconfirmed sequel to the Eternals, the end of time apparently, in the works. Now, these Celestials are known for creating deviants and Eternals on planets. But you know what these deviants look like? They look like symbiotes. What if these Celestials created them? Now, the natural course of this movie, whatever it's about, can take place. Whatever the plot is in which the Eternals defeat the Celestials, or at least stop their judgment. But showing the symbiote would seed a connection to Spidey that will play into later movies. Fast forward to something like Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars when Spidey is in space, Spidey can come across the symbiote, which was seeded in the Eternals sequel, using this symbiote suit to help vanquish Kang along with the Avengers. Naturally, Spidey won't be around for every conflict, that's where Falcon's Cap can lead the charge on the terrestrial front. Galvanizing America, he can stop the Skrulls and the Vigilantes regarding them, creating a brave new world. But let me quickly go back to Kang, the villain of this entire saga. Honestly, fuck this. It's beyond me how Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars will play out. The Majors situation is just a mess. Whether they recast or pivot to Doom is beyond me, but if I were a black actor, the last thing I'd want to do is fill that role. There's just too much heat attached to Kang now that I doubt John Boyega or John David Washington would want to be involved. Realistically, I could see them going with Doom. But to come around, I strongly believe through Spider-Man and other core heroes like Falcon, Cap, Strange, and Captain Marvel, they'll be able to galvanize the heroes old and new into something uniform, consolidate these many stories into something with a frame, something that feels planned, or at least fixed, intentional, and cathartic for those that have invested the time to watch Phase 4 and 5, winning back over the hearts and minds of people who have given up on the MCU.
What is happening?
I don't even blame people who have given up on the MCU. I'm kind of checking out myself. It's just the same shit.
It's often said that Marvel movies all end the same way.
Wait, who's saying that?
Me. They're just defenders of the status quo. Villains seek to change the world, and the hero comes in to return things to normal.
When the earth starts to settle, God throws a stone at it.
Every movie is the same thing.
There are certain things that are supposed to happen in a superhero story.
Our heroes are reactionary and don't improve the world they inhabit.
We're the Avengers, not the pre-Vengers.
Okay,
right?
You made your point.
But the punishment usually came after the crime.
And anytime there is a genuine push for social change, it's cut down.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
For once, we're way ahead of the curve.
Sounds like a cold world, Tony.
By holding a gun to everyone on Earth and calling it protection.
Cap makes a great point. Social change shouldn't happen at the expense of people's freedoms. However, you do have to admit that stumps this universe's progress.
How is humanity saved if it's not allowed to evolve?
Exactly. Why don't we just do things our own way?
Great idea, Jen. I think that's why the Fantastic Four movie is the only thing I'm actually looking forward to. Reed Richards is a change to this notion. Reed Richards changes the Marvel Universe. He creates inventions and shares that technology with the world, making humanity a space-faring society. His adventures, his stories actually push the needle forward, do something to leave a lasting impact on the world, not just return things to a superficial status quo.
You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change.
Say what you will about Age of Ultron, but it makes a lot of really good points.
Humans are odd. They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be. But there is grace in their failings.
When I ask my friends where they're at with Marvel, I ask them what would it take to get them, a casual moviegoer, to see a Marvel movie again, to take it seriously, to trust that what they're going to watch is something quality, something they have faith in is going to be a good time. Now, I got an assortment of answers to this. Some said good marketing, and sure, I think that might be part of it. Some said certain IPs like another Avengers movie or even an X-Men movie would get them to see a Marvel movie again, which is fair enough, they're trusted brands. But a majority of the answers centered around quality storytelling, less revolving around world, or in this case, multiverse shattering conflicts, and more on the internal stakes for our characters. If we look at Raimi's Spider-Man movies, Pete isn't fighting to save the world, he's fighting to save the ones he loves. At the end of the day, character is all that matters. We cannot get lost in plot, in the larger story of it all, and I think we have. If we do, we're just going through the motions, and that's what Phase 4 and 5 have felt like. Content, not stories. I think the ramifications of Secret Wars should not only just change our characters, but the world they inhabit, push the needle forward. I want to see Marvel take bold risks like they used to, with their stories, with their characters, not just within the universe, but behind the lens too. Sit down and write quality stuff. Start to make Marvel movies from a place of love again, not because you have a deadline to hit.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Yo, alright, hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for making it this far in the video and watching all the way through. It means a lot to me that you stuck with me. And if you have made it this far, you may as well subscribe and like at this point. It just helps out the channel, helps out me, makes me feel dandy. I had a lot of fun editing this video. There was a lot of really fun things to do with this edit. I'm going to be putting up a Patreon tutorial for some of the things I've done in this video. I'm showing you my process and how I edit and all that sort of jazz. Speaking of Patreon, I want to thank the people that make this channel tick. People like Marrakid, Walking, Studio X, Mr. CCS, Cameron, Archie, Ziggy, Amrin, Braden, Holland, Unlucky Dreamer, William, Christos, Carson, Lance, Alexis, Draco, and David. You guys are the goats. For you guys in the Illuminati tier, I'm going to post something specific about my X-Men 2 video coming up, so you can check that out. I'm also going to have all the assets for this video up for you guys as well. Alright, cool. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao.